So I would like the panel to respond to first this point about, are we using, sanctions as an excuse to cover up this sort of mismanagement, the Iranian government's mismanagement?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, yes, I'm sure, I don't have firsthand knowledge, but I'm sure Iranian government mismanages its economy even to exponential levels above how our government mismanages our economy. And so I don't doubt what you said. And your premise is that the people of Iran, part of their victimization is because of this mismanagement, yes? So what do? Do we then go and further victimize them? So we have a group of victims. What will our sanctions policy be? No doubt, the people of Iran are suffering. Part of that suffering is from their management of the economy. I see that as disconnected from the sanctions issue, and I still, within that question, strongly support engagement with the people of Iran.
Eric, would you like to respond?
Yeah, I'll just add on to that. Certainly, if you're sitting on the other side of the aisle and you're the government of Iran and you're having failings in your economic policy, of course you blame the external force. You don't say, you know what, it's our fault, sanctions haven't had anything to do with it. I don't think any of us are purporting to say that, it's all sanctions. It's certainly, sanctions is one piece of the puzzle. It's one piece of the puzzle. The problems with Iran, it's one piece of the puzzle of our diplomacy towards Iran. Do you want me to move on to the second part? On to the second part, as you may have heard me say, I'm a proponent of sanctions. I believe in sanctions. My whole career is based around sanctions. My whole passion is around sanctions. I like sanctions and I like stand-up comedy. Those are the two things that I'm into. But my point is that, and I brought this up earlier, I used to have a professor who used to tell me, you got to do the right thing in the right way or it's wrong. And I'm not sure if we're doing the right thing in the right way, okay? And what I'm advocating on behalf of is sanctions done in a way that minimizes collateral damage and that's more effective on those parties that it's intended to compel a change in behavior. So I'm not saying in any way, hey, it hasn't worked, let's get rid of it.
I guess just to expand, the biggest fear of all authoritarian regimes is transparency, accountability, and their public opinion. And you see what happened in the previous presidential elections in Iran. First time, perhaps, how social network played a significant role of citizen journalism for the entire world to see, because all the foreign journalists were kicked out and the Iranian media wasn't covering anything. And what did we do? We went ahead and sanctioned the VPNs, the secure network that was allowing the Iranians to be able to create some sort of transparency, to leak these horrible acts that were taking place in Iran. So the same people who were suffering and had this small window of communicating with the outside world, we went ahead and sanctioned it. So sanctions are directionless, and they have the exact opposite on these regimes, because the regimes feel threatened, and they feel that they need to survive, and they will crack down, and they become more unfree. And the same people who are trying to bring changes in those societies are the ones who are being put to jail. The United States doesn't have a very good track record of bringing democracy to other countries. It's not. I mean, the second Iraq War and the Afghanistan War are very, very good examples. Democracies are, there has to be local. There has to be from within. And if we are doing exactly the same thing that is preventing those countries to have these kind of movements, then we should at least be brave enough to say it. But don't hide behind sanctions as a way to justify a military intervention, because guess what sanctions do? Sanctions will drive the other side to become more aggressive, to try to have the upper hand, And these pushes will go back and forth until diplomacy fails. And once diplomacy fails, then everybody who have pushed for sanctions this entire time will say, oh, guess what? We've tried everything. I guess now we have to go to war. So no, I don't think sanctions are the answer. The exact opposite of sanctions, and perhaps targeted sanctions for the individuals that are directly responsible for these issues are the answer, but not closing the doors to the same people who are trying to bring change. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good question.
So we have a question here.